The movie opens with a scene showing the U.S. in the middle of a civil war in 2024, with 11 million deaths. The scene then shifts to a few decades earlier, to 1988. Thomas Lockhart is a young police officer who seems to have it all: a loving wife, a loyal partner, and a job he loves. However, for the past few days, breakfast time with his pregnant wife feels more like dinner time because Lockhart works the night shift. While he's preparing breakfast for his beloved wife, urgent news breaks on the TV. A major accident has just occurred on the road. A bus has collided with several cars, and the bus driver is in critical condition. Preliminary reports suggest the driver, a young woman, might have had a seizure or a stroke. Paying little attention to the incident, Officer Lockhart steps out into the pouring rain, gets into the car with his partner Maddox, and they head to the scene of the crash. When they arrive, they meet Detective Holt, Lockhart's brother-in-law.
Holt's here. Oh, yeah, dry cleans his ties, full starch.
What a dick.
Hey, it's my wife's brother you're talking about.
Tell me he's not a dick.
Despite being family, Holt's abrasive personality makes him rather unpopular. Lockhart and Maddox approach the overturned bus and examine the victim, a young woman covered in blood. It quickly becomes clear that this is more than a simple stroke, as the injuries weren't caused by the bus crash. Rather, they seem to have caused it. After a brief investigation, Lockhart realizes that the victim's brain has liquefied, evidenced by the dull sound when tapping her skull and a strong, acrid smell. Reporting his findings to the detective, Lockhart becomes intrigued by the case, while Maddox tries to dissuade him, reminding him that they're just patrol officers, not detectives.
Yeah, what about that? Birthmark? Maybe a rash? It's like a puncture wound.
Boys across town just caught 2 more bodies. Bled out, ears, nose, mouth. Said both had some kind of mark on their neck.
A lot of birthmarks.
Lockhart hopes that solving this case will earn him a detective's badge. Initially, Holt dismisses their theory about a serial killer, but after learning about other similar incidents happening at the same time, he sees the connection. Each victim has distinct marks on their necks, suggesting some kind of lethal injection. However, they still lack enough data. To gather more information, Lockhart and Maddox visit another crime scene, a theater where a performer has died on stage. They then head to a restaurant where a chef has died in the same manner. All the victims have one thing in common: the neck marks. This points to a single perpetrator, and not an ordinary one, but a true serial killer.
What we need to do is run toxicology.
Hey, what do you mean we? You were right about the bus driver. Good call, but I'm running point on this. You do your job, I'll do mine.
That is why Holt is reluctant to share the case with Lockhart and Maddox, seeing it as his big break that could lead to a promotion.
Even though nobody said the word serial killer out loud yet, that time's coming. And when it does, this is my first big one. This could make me. I need to be able to wrap my head around it on my own. Just give me a little breathing room, all right?
Determined to learn more about the strange substance used to kill the victims, the officers head to the morgue. There, they speak with the local medical examiner, who is not about to share the report because Holt has already reserved it.
Come on, squirt!
However, the doctor lets slip that the victims were injected with an unstable isotope of uncertain origin.
Unstable isotope.
Lab techs all have hard-ons for it.
Why?
Because we have no idea what it is. No one's ever seen it before.
Such a mind-blowing information needs to be digested. And what else needs digesting is the midnight meal that Lockhart and Maddox grabbed after visiting the morgue. Lockhart, being a considerate and loving husband, always looks to do something nice for his wife. On their way out from eatery, he buys a bracelet from an elderly woman as a gift for her. But the crazy night isn't over yet. The same killer strikes again, this time at a club, injecting a stripper who is still alive.
You mind looking at the back of your victim's neck?
All right.
See anything?
Yeah, 3 bumps, little circles.
What about the blood? Anything weird?
What blood? She's still alive.
All right, we're on our way.
Lockhart rushes to the club and questions the dancer about what she remembers. The dancer reveals that a woman attacked her, knocking her down and giving her an injection. She describes the assailant as wearing a tracksuit, having dark skin and a wounded arm.
Just got off at the corner. What the hell?
Yeah, I was just about to get you on the radio.
Please step outside. Listen, she's got this shit in that bloodstream. We need to
Step aside.
What do you mean, shit?
Don't even listen to him. It's fine.
Okay.
Before saying more, the victim dies in front of Holt from massive blood loss and brain degradation. A forensic artist creates a composite sketch of the suspected killer, and dozens of African-American women in the area are arrested, but none of them match. While stopped at a crosswalk, the partners allow pedestrians to pass. Suddenly, starting a bit early, they nearly hit a passerby. This is the suspect. The suspect leaps over the car and takes off running, while Lockhart reverses and tries to chase her down. The pursuit leads the officers to the subway, where they aim to corner the woman. While tracking the suspect, Lockhart finds her weapon.
Officer Lockhart, I've got Rosewood General on the line. Your wife's going into labor. She's being taken there now. Officer Lockhart, please respond.
It turned out she was no easy target, and not only avoided simple traps, but also took Maddox down. Lockhart came to his partner's aid and managed to catch up to the woman. When Lockhart confronted her, she revealed details about his life.
Hello, Thomas.
Including that his wife was going to give birth that day.
Congratulations on your daughter.
She also uttered a strange phrase.
Is this where it happens? I want you to know I'm sorry about your partner.
With quick thinking, Lockhart, handcuffed to a bench,
See you soon.
managed to grab the killer's leg and inject her with the same substance she had used. This action destabilized her, causing her to fall onto the tracks and get hit by a train. Despite the conflicting details, the police closed the case due to the suspect's death.
Whoa, pal. Hey, what are you still doing here? Did nobody tell you?
Lockhart then rushed to the hospital where his wife was in labor. An internal affairs officer checked Lockhart's revolver, as the suspect had been shot in her hand with a similar model.
You didn't fire your weapon at all?
No.
Well, somebody did. They pulled the bullet from our girl's wrist, and it matches the service revolver.
What are you talking about?
No one else reported a shot fired. You can't make heads or tails.
The doctor informed Lockhart that complications had arisen during the birth due to a placental abruption. Lockhart gave his wife the bracelet as a charm during the delivery. Tragically, her condition worsened, and she dies in childbirth, but the doctors managed to save the baby. Though disheartened and somewhat unhinged, Lockhart continued his police work while raising his daughter alone. In 1997, 9 years later, despite the case of the killings by unknown injection being closed, the public still remembered.
Last so-called perpetrator got a white cop, and based on his own admission, the woman was unarmed. Yet he could not bring her in without throwing her in front of a train.
Protests erupted throughout the city, demanding the imprisonment of the officer who had killed a black woman. There was no evidence against her, and the public believed it was too easy to blame the black woman and give the officer a promotion. Today is the birthday of Thomas's daughter, Amy.
Daddy?
Yeah? What's that, baby?
Your breakfast is melting.
I thought we agreed on no more ice cream for breakfast.
Even on birthdays?
You got me, honey. Why don't you put mine in the fridge? It'll be right out.
He promises to take her to the zoo to see the bears. He gives her a pendant to hang on the bracelet he had given his wife in the hospital and suggests they visit her mother's grave first.
Well, you know we gotta do something first, though, right?
Mommy?
That's right, Mommy.
At the cemetery, he notices flowers, which makes him uneasy, as he is the only one who ever left flowers there before. Their moment is interrupted by a call. Detective Lockhart is summoned to the precinct, where he learns of a new murder.
Hey, I'm gonna be right back, okay? No frowning. We're still going to the zoo, baby.
It appears a copycat of the black woman has emerged, killing innocent people in the same way. As the investigation progresses, new evidence surfaces. Surveillance cameras capture someone strikingly similar to the original suspect, wearing a tracksuit and matching her description. This could be explained as a fanatic mimicking the murders. However, the person on camera has a bandaged arm, a detail that had never been reported in the media.
It's her hand.
What about it?
We never told anybody about her hand injury. We didn't release that to the press. How in the hell a copycat gonna know that detail?
The series of murders continues, and Detective Lockhart tries to uncover the killer's true motives. One of the clues they have is a set of unknown keys found in the suspect's pocket 9 years ago. Lockhart asks a colleague to identify what vehicle the keys belong to.
Find out anything you can about these keys.
Later, they find out the keys are for a plane model that was only released a year ago.
This plane was manufactured in 1996.
Yeah, the model came out last year.
Last year? How in the hell she have these keys in 88?
Prototype.
8 years before.
A colleague informs him that there's only one airfield in the city where that model is used. Lockhart leaves his daughter at the precinct.
I gotta work a little bit longer, all right? But Miss Tabitha right there, she's gonna look after you till I get back.
And heads to the airfield. Before leaving, he encounters Naveen Rao, a senior researcher.
I believe your case intersects with my work in a significant way.
While walking to the exit, Naveen tries to explain about a blood moon, suggesting that every 9 years, a temporal bridge is created, potentially linked to the murders.
Theoretically, creates a kind of bridge.
Yeah, bridge to where?
Another place entirely.
Dismissing him as crazy, the detectives ignore Naveen and drive off.
My advice, take it to Channel 5. They'll eat this shit up.
Upon arriving at the airfield, Lockhart sees a light inside a building. Entering, he encounters a man acting suspiciously, with shifty eyes and evasive answers. Lockhart cleverly writes a note asking if the man is being held hostage, and if so, to scratch his head. The man does, confirming Lockhart's suspicions. Grabbing his gun, Lockhart is about to demand the suspect show herself when she appears. It's the same woman from before.
Nice to see you again.
Holy shit, it is you.
Gun on the floor. If you were a better shot, I'd be dead.
She orders the airfield worker to tie up Lockhart, but he manages to call Maddox on his mobile.
Here it is.
Toss me the keys.
Yeah. It's 1 Mark 206.
Maddox sneaks in, but the suspect, startled, shoots him with a shotgun, blowing half his face off.
No. I'm sorry about your partner.
Deciding to continue their conversation in a more private setting, the woman takes Detective Lockhart with her on a plane and disappears into the sky. Along the way, she reveals even more details about his life that she couldn't possibly know. She begs him to stop pursuing her, claiming she is doing all this to save millions of people. She explains that every 9 years, at the setting of the moon, she can return. Lockhart, bewildered, asks for more details, but she warns that if she tells him everything, he will become obsessed and continue hunting her, a path she has seen him take before. Then, she throws Lockhart out of the plane and vanishes. The next morning, the police find the crash site, but there is no trace of the suspect. It's as if she vanished into thin air. Lockhart tells Holt there's no point in searching for her, as she'll only reappear in 9 years. He believes she returned to the future. Holt looks at him as if he's lost his mind. Another 9 years pass. In 2006, Lockhart is now a private detective, obsessed with solving this case. He is convinced the cause of these sudden and inexplicable events lies in time travel. Determined to solve the case, Lockhart exhumes the body of one victim, a man who died under similar circumstances in 1988. He was outside their jurisdiction, and the local police had dismissed it as an overdose. Investigating the remains, Lockhart finds needle marks on the neck, confirming his theory. He then tries to contact Naveen Rao, the scientist who had talked about the blood moon. But Rao is now an influential figure, and reaching him is no simple task. Lockhart visits the widow of the deceased to learn more about his life. He discovers the man was writing extremist articles, sending them to a select group, and preparing for a kind of coup. He was a visionary leader and author of revolutionary works. The pattern emerges. All the recipients of his newsletters were the victims. However, not all these correspondents are dead. He finds out that a former girlfriend of the deceased is still alive.
You know where she's at now?
You keep track of the people that f***ed your wife before you did?
Making her the next potential target. Lockhart picks his daughter up from school. He politely tries to engage in conversation, asking about her boyfriend.
George is gonna stay around here, so...
What, the football guy?
Yep.
No, he told me about him before.
You've met him, like, twice.
And gives her a birthday pendant for her bracelet.
Before you brace him?
Dad, I haven't worn that thing in years.
Well, I kept receipts, so...
Thanks for trying.
Lockhart meets with Holt, now a sheriff, and asks for the address of the person he needs.
We missed one of our victims. Harold Nowack. Just outside our jurisdiction, so local boys wrote it off as a drug overdose. We never caught it.
Just one address, and he'll never ask for anything again. He explains that the woman doesn't keep returning to the future. She's continuously moving backward in time, leaping with the 9 years intervals. According to his theory, the isotope she injected into her victims was activated from the future, which is why they all died simultaneously, despite being in different parts of the city. Holt dismisses his claims as the ravings of a madman.
You sound like a fucking insane person right now. You need help. She knew things about me, Holt. Have you completely lost your fucking mind? You're talking about a case that's been cold for a fucking decade. You know how many murders I've had in the past week? I'm raising your own daughter, for Christ's sake, and you're coming to me with time travel.
Realizing he has no choice, Lockhart follows Holt and plays along, agreeing that he acted like a total psycho, lost everything dear to him, and now doesn't know what to do. His heartfelt words convince Holt to trust him. Lockhart embraces his brother-in-law and steals his documents.
You're a good man, Holt. No, I'm a dick, and I know it, but you're family, so that's what we do, right? We take care of each other.
Which lead him to the address he needs. Arriving at the location, Lockhart realizes he's just missed the suspect. The person he sought is already dead, and the killer is above him on the second floor. She jumps out the window, but Lockhart manages to wound her in the arm with his old service revolver.
They pull the bullet from our girl's wrist, and it matches the service revolver.
A chase ensues, leading to the beach by a drainage pipe. He finds a capsule the killer hides in. As it fills with water, the entire device vanishes. The police and Sheriff Holt arrive, arresting Lockhart. He yells at Holt that he can fix everything. He just needs to kill her in 9 years, then she won't reach 1988, and he can fix the past, bringing back his wife. Meanwhile, Naveen Rao observes them from afar. Another 9 years pass. In 2015, Rao tests a new unstable isotope on pigs. This substance can be activated from any point in time and location. With a signal from Control Center, he dissolves the pig's brains. Watching through surveillance cameras, Rao sees Lockhart camping on the beach, waiting for the woman's return. Thomas gets a call from his daughter, who says she's about to give birth and she and her husband want him there.
I think it's what Mom would have wanted, and I think it's what I want too, so...
At that moment, he is knocked out. Lockhart wakes up in a van filled with dead pigs, with Naveen Rao at the wheel. Rao tells him that he's just taking him to a safe place for a couple of days to keep him from interfering with the woman's mission. He explains that he's developing a device to travel back in time, and the woman, apparently, works with him in the future. According to Rao, she's trying to prevent a terrible war that would result in millions of deaths.
She's killing innocent people.
To stop something much, much worse. Imagine you could erase the American Civil War. How would you do it? Do you kill Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, Lincoln, all the Confederate and Union leaders? But that might not be enough to erase an idea. Maybe we have to kill the people who made them who they are, who gave them their moral and political beliefs. Friends, fathers, mothers, grandparents.
Lockhart manages to free his hands, causes the van to crash, and escapes. Rao, injured and paralyzed, is unable to pursue him. Lockhart waits for the woman by the drainage pipe. When she arrives, he holds her at gunpoint and she tells him the truth. The woman introduces herself as Raya. She believes he won't shoot her because he's the one who sent her on this mission. She reveals that she has known him since her childhood and that he taught her everything she knows. She shows him his daughter's bracelet, and Lockhart realizes that Raya is his granddaughter, trying to stop a series of terrorist attacks in America's future. In 2024, a group of extremists will orchestrate a series of terrorist attacks aimed at overthrowing the government. The attacks will claim 11,000 lives on the first day, with the death toll reaching millions in the following days. The mass killings will plunge the USA into fear and lead to societal collapse. A new civil war will break out, destroying the existing world order. Lockhart realizes the gravity of his mistake when he killed her 27 years ago. He asks for her forgiveness, but she tells him that it will still happen and that nothing can change that. In the end, Lockhart lets her go and heads to the hospital to be with his daughter. He decides to raise his granddaughter and make up for his past mistakes. Meanwhile, in the future, Dr. Naveen Rao, now confined to a wheelchair after the car incident, activates the isotope and kills the founders of the radical movement. In this way, Lockhart, Raya, and Rao managed to stop the terrorists and prevent all the subsequent catastrophic events.
When the war between us all disappears, it won't make a sound. It won't leave a scar. There will be no great tale in your time.
As we conclude the recap of In the Shadow of the Moon, we're left pondering its gripping storyline and thought-provoking themes. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more movie recaps. Thanks for watching.